Sega of America laying off 61 staff. Employees depart in March. Sega of America is laying off 61 staff on March 8, 2024, as job losses continue to devastate the video game industry. As reported by GI.biz, the employees affected currently work across two locations at Sega's Irvine, California campus, with 12 being laid off from one office and 49 from another. The job losses come out just a few months after workers at Sega of America voted to unionize under the Communications Workers of America, forming AEGIS-CWA. According to this group, who made a series of posts on X/Twitter in response to the layoffs, workers across quality assurance and localization departments were affected. A few months ago, Sega management announced their plan to outsource quality assurance and part of localization in a move that would significantly impact our workforce, AEGIS-CWA said. We've been fighting back on these terms since then, but today the layoff that will result in the loss of 61 jobs across these two departments was made public. AEGIS-CWA said it was able to double the number of saved jobs and offer severance to its temporary workers, but despite this believes the layoffs will have a negative impact on the working conditions of those who remain with the company and the quality of our future games. The brutal video game industry layoffs, which tarnished 2023, have crept into 2024, and IGN learned Microsoft is cutting a colossal 1,900 positions from its video game workforce on January 25th, which already passed. Industry layoffs are currently among the worst in history, with myriad other studios of all sizes affected. Dreams Media Molecule, Cyberpunk 2077, CD Projekt Red, F1's manager Frontier Developments, and Assassin's Creed Ubisoft all suffered layoffs. Destiny 2 developer Bungie was also affected, causing a soul-crushing atmosphere at the studio that IGN learned about in an investigative report. Colossal companies like Embracer, who owns the likes of Borderlands developer Gearbox Software and Tomb Raider developer Crystal Dynamics, Fortnite publisher Epic Games, and Dungeons and Dragons owner Hasbro, also saw sweeping job losses. Embracer laid off 55% of its workforce, amassing to 904 staff in total. Epic laid off 16%, or 830 employees, and
Damn.
Hasbro has cut close to 20%, meaning around 1,100 staff. Entire studios were also closed, including Embracer's Campfire Cabal and Saints Row developer Volition Games, plus the studio behind Time Splitter's Free Radical.
Wow.
So I'm going to go to the comments first, and then Dr. Games 101 and myself can give our opinion. Atlas Fanboy goes, fun fact, in Japan, it's incredibly difficult to lay people off. Unless the company is basically on the verge of bankruptcy, you can't just let people go, and even then they have to take multiple steps before they reach that point, such as cutting executive pay and reducing hours. When you see all of these layoffs from companies that are largely very profitable with CEO pay in the term tens of millions, remember that's possible because these companies lobby to prevent laws like that from being put in place. Chris J says, does that mean Sega is going bankrupt or they're in financial trouble? Hope I'm not sounding sarcastic. FWWWM Sonos goes, notice is just the West that gets fired. Going all in on unfettered capitalism was really a national mistake. I guess I guess this is a socialist. What do you have to say about all these layoffs happening?
It's not, I wouldn't say it's preventable, but they try to make some profits at the end of the day. These companies, Sega and the Volition games you said, with that creative Saints Row and all, that sucks right there. That company is like, big impact in shooter games.
Yep.
It's it sucks. And I hope that Saints Row 1, 2, and 3, at least those first three Saints Row games, will be like the best selling games of of the Saints Row franchise and all, and maintain some sort of presence for future games to reiterate or somehow some way of the influence of those games. So
I think the first Saints Row games, really 1 through 4, will be fine. Gat Out of
hmm
Hell will probably also be fine digitally, at least.
hmm
Um, Although that was also released physically. I did rent it from GameFly physically when I was in New
Yeah.
York. Um, really, the only one you have to worry about is the remake of Saints Row, which no one's gonna miss.
Yeah, that was fucked up. Speaking of the Saints Row remake, there was an actual meme of the Disney characters and all. I think I mentioned it once where they showed the Disney actors and together, and it was like said Saints Row at the bottom. I was fucked up. You have to see
Yeah,
you have to watch the Disney characters first that shows it all. Like that's so Raven, Henry Danger,
I think
those
I
kind
remember
of
that. I think we covered that when Saints Row was first coming out.
yeah. It's
I
still
remember
funny
that.
to me. I should have
Yeah,
saved on to that. I should have saved on to that meme. I can't find it anywhere right now.
but I do remember that. Yeah, because it was like, Saints. They're not going to do the same thing because they don't have the guts that they used to.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Um, So I mean, also, like I said, 2023, 2024, Dr. Games 101 said it himself. We're in a recession right now. Don't believe everything you hear about jobs coming back or recession or inflation going down. Um,
Yeah, I will admit this. I'm not no big economic expert. I'm not no economic economist, but I do watch and many sources out there going about the economy, news altogether that's outside of the mainstream. So so just keep an open eye, and a nice ear to the ground, see what's up.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, so Saints Row, not Saints Row, so Sega laying off all those people. Um, like I said, Volition Games had to close down after the failure of the Saints Row reboot, which everyone knew was going to fail from the beginning. I don't
Hmm.
know why they just didn't change course and make compelling characters if they were going to replace them.
Yeah.
Um, so, but like I said, also another thing about these is also the recession we're in. Um, Thanks people who voted Democrat over the last few years,
Eh,
because 2023 is when we started hearing of game studios either firing people at the drop of a hat. Like I said, how long has it been? It's been months since every 2 weeks we do this podcast. We hear about 3 or 4 different companies laying off people.
Yeah, and making record profits, these CEOs or other executive positions in the same company too.
Yeah,
Later
but we
on,
didn't.
it is.
But even in 2020, when people were like stuck in their homes, we didn't hear about layoffs happening this frequently.
Yeah.
You can point back to any other time in gaming and tell me when layoffs were happening like this. What, you'd have to go back to the video game crash of 1983 um to find something even close.
Oh yeah. You're
So,
right.
uh yeah, so unfortunately it sucks. Um but you know, anyone who's thinking that capitalism is to blame is a blue haired bull wing wearing person that should not be taken seriously. Just pat them on the head and tell them everything will be okay.
Oh yeah.
For adults that are listening though, yeah, just look at this. Just look at your average day and look at how much things cost comparing to what they used to be just a couple of years ago. Inflation's not so transitory anymore, is it?
Hmm.